Story 1. Back when I 18 was, my parents got a divorce. My mom and dad reached an agreement. She got the Labrador Retriever and dad got me. I hadn't seen her for nearly 10 years until she contacted me 2 months ago. She said she missed me, but was too ashamed of herself for the agreement to reach out. We reconnected and I even introduced my girlfriend 18 to her. I made a mistake though. My girlfriend asked why I seemed so tense around my mom. I told her it was because I hadn't seen her in almost 10 years. She asked why and I told her about the custody agreement. My girlfriend then called my mom. She, according to mom's description, screamed for 5 minutes and called my mother a piece of crap. Then my mom told me I shouldn't have told my girlfriend that, and that I should have known it would lead to a great deal of embarrassment for my mom. Am I the idiot for telling my girlfriend that my mom chose the dog over me? Elmow buddy, 10 years later. Of course your mom is contacting you again, the dog is dead. Not because she misses you, I doubt she's embarrassed. Oof. Tell your mom she should feel a great deal of embarrassment. Geez, I'm sorry. I hope your father was a great dad to make up for this crap. Your mom, wow. Her embarrassment isn't your problem. She does not get to control your narrative and story. This is your story, and you can tell it to whomever you like. You are now aware that telling it to people can create some pretty visceral responses, so for your own sake, you might want to ponder who knows it. But your mom, she lost control of the story when she wasn't around to write a different version with you. She needs to deal with her embarrassment herself. Agree. You're not the idiot for confiding in your girlfriend, but the girlfriend way overstepped herself. She had no business making that call to your mom. What your mom did was awful, but it's between you and her whether you choose to have a relationship or forgive your mom and give her a chance to make amends. Your girlfriend needs to stay out of it, and if I were you, I'd be very guarded about what I say to my girlfriend about anything in the future. Girlfriend is 18. Who has good boundaries or self-regulation when they're 18? I have a crappy dad that abandoned me emotionally and other things more than a decade ago. I wouldn't require my future partner to do this, but I wouldn't be mad if they did something like this. It shows that they care about me and can't bear the fact that somebody who should love me unconditionally hurt me. And if my dad tried to say something, I'd shut him up because he dug his own grave. What is it your mom wanted you to do instead? Just lie. Dude, mom abandoned you at 8 years old. Call me petty, but I would never forgive that. The way your girlfriend reacted should have been your reaction. Ditch the newly found mom and keep the girlfriend. She cares more about you than your mom. And send mom a message with local rescue dogs to cushion the news. My husband works 12-hour shifts. Anything over 10 on a typical 40-hour work week is double time. Therefore, he's been working 12-hour shifts 5 days a week to save money. Now for the backstory. We have a tween, a pre-tween, a kindergartner, and an infant. When I was 6 months pregnant, the apartment building we lived in was condemned. Mold and mice issue that we didn't know about due to having 3 cats, and the mold not visible. We were put up in a hotel until about a week before my due date, during which time we searched for housing and found nothing. We ended up having to stay with my mom. I had my daughter a week later, and my husband found us a place 2 days later. It's important to note that I begged him just to let us stay at my mom's house when he told me where he got us a place. For one, he works all the time, and he couldn't take time off, so I wouldn't have helped. For two, the school district in the area he was moving us to is partial remote learning, short staffing, so the kids would only be at school twice a week, and the rest at home because it rotated between kids. So not only was I going to be caring for a newborn alone, but I would also have to deal with schooling my other children, one who has a heavy EAP, individualized education program, and strong learning disabilities. And I knew I wouldn't mentally have the bandwidth to do this. But my husband insisted because he didn't want to live with my mom, and because the place he found us was in the house next to his best friend. He used the excuse that if I needed anyone his buddy's wife was right there, and I could have play dates because she has 5 kids. I wasn't interested in any of this, but he still insisted and made me feel like I was being irrational for wanting to give up a housing opportunity to stay at my mother's. But regardless, we have 5 people now living in a 2-bedroom tiny apartment paying $600 a month with nothing included. It's so small that we can't even fit a dining room table for the kids to eat, and they instead eat on the couch, which doubles into my pull-out bed. Since we moved here, his friend and his kids are always here. Since the day we moved in here, those kids have been banging on my door 3 or 4 times a day, looking for my kids, and waking up the baby every single day. When my husband gets out of work, his buddy calls him outside at least twice every night, going on store runs, dump runs, or just hanging out for no less than 2 hours. They're constantly loud, and we're right on a river, so I don't even trust my kids going outdoors. I've brought up all of these points several times. I'm always met with a baby, it'll all be fine. I'm saving money. We won't be here forever. That's it. I had 0 time to recover from birth. I'm so exhausted mentally and physically that I'm having serious doubts about my marriage because of the constant resentment. 14 years, and I've never felt like this before. And last night I ended up snapping because I needed a break. I passed the baby off to my husband, and I went outside to take a breather and be alone. As soon as I walked outside, his friend saw me, walked over to talk to me, and asked where my husband was because he needed to run to the store and wanted to know if he wanted to go. My husband ended up going. I got a total of maybe 30 seconds of alone time. So I lost it, and I told him he had 2 choices. Get us the heck out of here because my mental well-being was at stake, or I was going back to my mom's. He says he doesn't understand what I expect him to do because there's nothing available. I told him to figure it the heck out. Now he says I'm putting too much pressure on him because he's stressed too, and apparently, it's all he thinks about. But I can't do this anymore. Am I the idiot? Edit, I have a job. I'm not worried about money, and he shouldn't be worried either. So I'm not sure why he's working so much overtime every single week. He brings home enough to cover all the bills in 1 paycheck, while doing overtime in just 1 week. The issue is that we can't find other housing. The reason I want to go to my mom's is because she has 3 extra bedrooms that she offered us repeatedly. But my husband doesn't want us to be there because he doesn't want to live with anyone and be under anyone's thumb, despite the fact that he and his mother have been talking about us all buying a house together, so it's just an excuse he's giving me. You are not the idiot, but I'm not sure why you had 4 kids with this loser. Just go to your mom's. Do you need his permission? That moron is putting grocery trips with his buddy over your mental health. It's past time to just go to your mom's. He clearly isn't going to prioritize you. I can't even imagine living with that much stress, or living with a man so oblivious to my well-being. Hey, baby number 5 is surely going to cure all their ills or something. Yeah, keep pumping out kids, I'm sure that will improve it. Let's not pretend 90% of this crap didn't exist in some form 2 years ago. Sis, your husband can't find another place to live because he doesn't want to. The new place that doesn't even fit his family needs is perfect for him because his little friend lives next door. You're not being heard here, and it's affecting your health and your children's education. It might be time for a dramatic gesture so he sees how serious this is. Take your kids and go back to your mom's house. You need her support with 4 kids, working, etc. And your partner isn't listening. Jesus Opie, you are the idiot, because you stay with someone who is terrible and doesn't care about your children's comfort. Why is this even a question? A living situation with your mom that is quiet, safe, comfortable, and spacious, versus a living situation that is cramped, loud, uncomfortable, and dangerous. Stop being a doormat. This is an absolute no-brainer. Pack up the kids and head to mom's house. Your teenager of a husband can come if he wants. Why the heck do you need his permission? Just go. I, 25 female, got married to my husband 27 almost a year ago. We weren't able to afford to go on the honeymoon we wanted back then. So that's why we saved up so we could go to Hawaii for our first anniversary. The trip is supposed to happen next month. We mentioned our plans to our family when my brother, 23, suddenly chimed in, saying that Hawaii was a great idea and that he and his boyfriend would join too. I was taken aback when he said that, and I told him that this wasn't a random trip, and it was supposed to be our honeymoon. But he said that we could do a double couples honeymoon together, so he and his boyfriend could feel the experience of one as well. I told him that if he wanted to experience a honeymoon, they could just go on a separate trip instead of hijacking ours. Still, my brother went off at me, saying that I was selfish for not sharing this experience with him when I knew that our country doesn't allow gay marriages. So he's never going to feel the experience of a real honeymoon. And this will be as close as he gets. Somehow, my parents are backing him up as well. Mostly my mom, but my dad usually goes along with her to avoid family conflict. I'm not going to lie, at this point I feel like giving my brother the wrong location for our honeymoon. So there's no possibility of him and his boyfriend somehow hijacking it. Am I the idiot? Your brother wants a honeymoon experience, but wants to go with another couple. I don't know what he thinks honeymoons are for, but my wife and I didn't want spectators along on our honeymoon. The very point of the honeymoon is to get one-on-one time, just you and your newlywed partner. Your brother can and should most definitely have a honeymoon experience, but by themselves, just the two of them, somewhere far away from you. Don't tell them the hotel, your travel dates, or plans for when you're there. And if they already know this stuff, change it if possible without telling them. The only selfish person here is your brother, for insisting that your honeymoon goes according to his plans. Entitled much? Yeah, hard knock the idiot. And don't tell your parents either. You can't prevent him from going to Hawaii at the same time as you. You can, however, refuse to see them at any point during the trip. All lodging, food, activities, and transportation should be 100% on them to arrange for and pay. Refrain from communicating about this anymore. If they show up with no hotel, don't let them in. They can find a bench to sleep on. Nope, it's time to lie like you have never lied before. Sorry, since you hijacked our Hawaii honeymoon. We are going to insert place your brother hates. Then, keep your actual honeymoon plans completely secret. Most people do a few islands, so even if he still plans to go, you can be in completely different places. It's so strange to plan a honeymoon like you're on the run, but it would help if you dealt with this beforehand, and while you're there, have a wonderful time. For background, I, nearly adult, am adopted. I have PTSD and babies crying is a trigger that I've been working on for years. I kind of zone out and get ragey, not something good or fun. My older sister, 23, lives with our mom, as do I, and is unexpectedly pregnant. There were a lot of emotions involved initially, but she ultimately decided to keep the baby. She's now 6 months along. I was under the impression she was going to move out, but she's decided she won't as it will be easier to have our mom help her. I'm naturally pretty upset. I don't want to share my space with the baby, but also the ragey PTSD thing is exhausting for everyone. I basically told my mom that she makes sure the baby isn't living here, or I'm gonna move to my dad's. He lives 3 states away. He's great and is pretty excited. He just works a lot, so mom never wanted me there in case I needed support or something, and he's busy. Mom is pretty torn and upset. My sister called me a selfish idiot. My cousin thinks I need to just wait it out. The baby is family, and it might not even cry that much. Members of my bio family think it'll be good exposure therapy, but I don't really believe them. Mom is trying to make it work, find a way for both of us to stay. I refuse every option because it won't work. She wants me to try at least, but I refuse to. Even separately, I don't like kids. I don't want a kid in my stuff when it grows up. Still, my sister thinks I'm the worst. Mom is so distraught it's almost concerning, and Dad has expressed some concern, but is overall happy. Am I the idiot? Edit, it is a formal diagnosis. I am receiving treatment in therapy. Not the idiot. You have every right to go and live at your dad's house, if your mom isn't going to be a comfortable space for you. You have PTSD and your problems to deal with. You aren't wrong for not wanting to live with a newborn when you have your father's home to stay at. You shouldn't make your mom choose, however. Just tell her you're going to your dad's and why you're leaving. Your mom and sister shouldn't be trying to force you to be around children, especially if they're a trigger for your PTSD. Your mom doesn't see that you could potentially be a danger to the baby, and the last thing you need as a sufferer of PTSD is a jail term when your mother's experiment goes wrong. And those saying that the baby might not cry very much don't know babies at all. All babies are different. Parents can't guarantee that the baby won't cry out. You are the idiot, not for moving out, but for giving your mom an impossible ultimatum. What exactly do you expect her to do? Do you want her to kick out your pregnant sister? Or were you just trying to cause a rift? Did you want to get your mom to resent your sister and her child? You should have just gone to your dad's without saying, me or my pregnant sister. Bro, she's not an adult yet. If her mom has full custody, she kinda can't go live with her dad without permission. She legally cannot move 3 states away from her full custody parent without their knowledge. The mom would be within a right to take the father to court for kidnapping if she just got up and left in the middle of the night to move 3 states away. Also, your sister can go live with a boyfriend who has his own place. My wife and I have 3 kids, 2 sons 34 and 30, and a daughter 26. As we had good careers, we were able to pay for all of their college tuition, which varied by year, degree, and university. The 3 were all about the same with no big changes. Our 2 boys decided to get a degree and get to work. However, our daughter decided she'd do a postgraduate, and my wife and I decided to pay for that as well. We've always valued education a lot, so we think that if we can help, there's no reason not to do so. Our 2 sons are upset over this news. They think that we're spoiling our girl. Both said that they should all get the same treatment. I told them that this is because their sister is choosing to pursue higher education than they did, so she should get more money. Our oldest said that's unfair, and that instead of giving the money to our daughter, we could start a college fund for our grandkids. I told him that absolutely not, because their kids are their responsibility, just as my kids are mine. So I'd rather pay for my daughter than my grandkids. I'm not saying that because I don't love my grandkids. I love them with all my heart. But I don't think that my kids should count on me to pay for their stuff. My sons are upset. They're upset with me and my wife because we're paying for our daughter's college, and they're upset at me for my comment about their kids. They said that we're once again spoiling our golden children, and that I'm picking favorites. Info: this needs more context. They said we're once again spoiling our golden children, and I'm picking favorites. Once again means this isn't the first time. What else has happened up? The first time I heard it was because, as teenagers, the boys didn't buy as many clothes, as most boys do in my experience, while my girl was an ordinary teenage girl who liked going shopping with her friends regularly. Ever since, they've thrown it in every time they disagree with their sister on something. Liked going shopping is your way of saying you gave her money that you didn't give your sons, because they didn't ask, they didn't get. But your baby girl asked for lots, so got lots. Clearly, that you think you're in the right, even when 2 of your children stay otherwise, is interesting. You are the idiot. You need to consider this, and possibly give your sons the equivalent. If your daughter is seen as the golden child, there may be some truth to it. We don't always see it, but it would help if you looked objectively at this. University or higher ed is not the only pathway to a better future in life, and it's certainly not the only one that benefits from financial aid from parents. I don't know, I'm getting a different vibe here. It seems to me that OP has some serious money, so their children have always gotten whatever they wanted, and are now acting like entitled greedy brats. Fair does not mean equal, and life is not even always fair. It's your money, and you can spend it however you like. Your children are all grown-ups and can fund their own lives. OP's not the idiot. They're kids, their responsibilities. Thank you for watching.